like now.
Yeah.
Just even if it's just a little bit to get him started on it.
Yeah.
All right.
Like at least around the block. But preferably get off.
No.
Up. No. Sit. Yes. Good boy. And every dog's different, like depending, granted, if he's like out of shape, don't take him for a 5-mile run because that's probably not going to be great for him. But like figure out exactly what his tolerance is and how far he can go. Because you'll want to take him for a long enough walk that it's mentally draining him because he's got to stay kind of with you and slow down for a bit, but also enough so that he's like physically getting all of his energy.
Yeah.
Good boy. Yeah. Yes, good boy. Oh yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. Come here. Yes, good boy. Good boy. And now you might need to get a different one. I will leave this one with you, but I feel like he's gonna chew through it in about 2 seconds. Sit. Yes, good boy. Good boy. Which a better kind of combo for you might be, so this is like a full-on slip leash. They sell slip collars that would end about right here, and then you just clip a regular leash to it. You might either like the cable leashes, if you know what I'm talking about, where it's like a wire cable, but it's wrapped in some sort of plastic. Yep. That he won't be able to chew through, and it's thin enough that it won't be super heavy. I would say like a chain leash, but I know those can get kind of heavy. And if he's wearing it all the time, like it's just gonna be bulky for you. But the cable ones are a lot lighter weight, and he won't be able to chew through that. So, yes, good boy. Good boy. Yes, good boy. Oh, yeah. Sit. Yes, good boy. Good boy. Good. And then some other like, the biggest thing with him is space. That whole making him respectful of your space and just space in general. If he's ever in your way, like say he's laying in this doorway right here and you're trying to go down the hallway, make him move. Don't just step over him, because then he's gonna realize, oh, she's not gonna inconvenience me and make me get out of the way. Like, she'll go around me. But if you tell him like, yo, I'm trying to go through here, you need to get out of the way, that will speak volumes to him and teach him that this is not his space, it is yours, he's just borrowing it. That if you need him to get out of the way, that is his job in that moment. And applying that to like really anything, and setting boundaries, like not letting him in the kitchen, giving him areas that he's not allowed to go in, so that he learns those are off limits, but they're areas he's not allowed to be. Good boy. Good boy. Good. And does he jump on either of you?
No.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, jump. Yeah, he doesn't jump. That's kind of crazy. He keeps doing it. I mean, he might have one or two, but no, he's so heavy. That's why I always, unlike Charlie jumps all the time.
Yeah, yeah. If he does, or if you have people over and he's jumping on them, which definitely would keep the leash on if they come over, so that you can control him, okay. And he's not the first to greet him at the door, jumping all over and going crazy. But if he does, like, if he jumps on you, push him off. Instead of, a lot of my clients will like step back and they'll do this, but that's just kind of inviting him into your space even more. Okay. Or I just came from a friend's house where she was doing this. She's got a new dog and she was just like turning. I'm like, that's not teaching your dog that you want them to stop doing that, because there's no consequence. Like, if you just turn your back, the dog's just gonna jump on your back. Yeah. But if he's jumping on a guest when they come in, tell him no and give him that leash pop, and also tell them to try their best to step into him, so that they don't step backwards and him think, oh, they're inviting me into their space. like the big thing is just getting him out
Okay,
of
so
their
then you
personal
just-
bubble.
Like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I tend to a lot of the time just use my knee and kind of like not trying to like hurt them, but like get off of me and into their chest enough so that they're like, shit, fine, okay. No. No.
Yeah. Good.
Sit. Yes, good boy. Good boy. Good. Come here. Yes, good boy. Good. Yes, good boy.
So, like, how much time should we spend? I mean, like, daily time. You know, kind of like what you're doing. Is it something we need to do?
I like total. Every dog is different, but like total, if you can, an hour, but not at one time because it's hard for them to focus for that long. And then he'll get to a point where he is like mentally drained and he's like, I don't want to do this anymore. But if you keep your sessions kind of short and quick and leave him, like you end that game essentially with him wanting more, then he's like, well, what are you doing? I wasn't done. And then when you pick that back up later, like take a break for 5, 10, 15 minutes and then come back and do another 5, 10 minute session, then he's like, oh sweet, we're doing this again. Instead of if you work him to the point of exhaustion and then try to pick up later, he's gonna be like, I don't want to do that. That's too much work. Hey.
Yeah.
Sit. Yes, good boy. Good boy. Good. Sit. Yes, good boy. And does he have a bed that he lays on anywhere else?
He has a bed that's in here.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's kind of like for his use as he wants, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Boy. Good. Here.
So definitely no.
Sit. Yes. Sit. Yes. Good boy. Good job. So that's a little bit of that impulse control that I'm working on. So initially, like when you're teaching, say, I'm gonna just pretend his bed is right here, but I would put him onto here, sit, yes, and then start just backing up like I am. I don't say stay. I mean, if you do, it's not gonna make or break your progress or anything. But I just, to me, it's not really a necessary command because my expectation is like, I need you to stay in a sit until I tell you to do something else. Like I shouldn't have to have 2 commands for the same behavior.
Right.
So, nope, go. Yes, good boy. Good boy. Sit. So what I do is again using space. If I walk away, normally I would be silent, but I'm talking you through this. Nope. If he starts to get up and follow me, I just say no and then step into him and using sit. Yes. No. Sit. Yes. Good boy. Actually, no, you were a butthole. So that's called spatial pressure. So the leash provides physical pressure because it's around his neck, he can feel it. But me like stepping into his bubble is a form of social or like psychologically, he's like, whoa, she's invading my space. Come here.
Okay.
Come here. Sit. Yes, good boy. So that's how you get kind of the implied stay with anything. So that if you put him into a sit or a down, he stays in that position until you tell him, sit. Come here. Sit. Sit. Yes. Good boy. Okay. Good. Good boy. Until you give him some sort of a release word. So I usually use the word break but a lot of people are already using the word okay to let the dog know you're done. Now you can get up and be a free dog and do whatever you want. But that way he sits there and waits until you tell him break. And it gives him an opportunity to kind of check out and just be a dog for a minute. So that, like I said, they can't focus for that long. Even in like a 15-minute training session, I'll give my dog a bunch of breaks and I'll be like, sit, break, sit, break, sit, break. Have him hold it for a few minutes and then tell him break, so that it's teaching him to slow down and really focus on like that one thing, that one task at hand, and developing that impulse control, because they don't have it naturally. Hey, leave it. Yes, sit. Hitman, Hitman, sit. Yes, good. So notice when I stepped into him, he was kind of like, whoa, okay. Good boy. Yes. Good boy. And initially, I mean, you don't have to use break. You can use whatever word you want. But he's not going to know what it means. So if I just say break, he's probably just going to stand there and be like, what? So that's when I use a little bit of leash pressure to help him out and understand, like, okay, now's your opportunity. You can follow this leash pressure and you can get out of that sit position. No, leave it. Hey. Nope. Good boy. Good boy. Come here. Sit. Yes, good boy. Nope. Too soon.
He's like,
Squirrel.
yeah.
Leave it. No. Sit. Yeah, good boy. Good boy. Good boy. No. Sit. Sit. Yes. Break. Good boy. Good. No. Stop. You're gonna pull my pants down. Sit. Yes, good boy. Good boy.
Charlie.
Coughed it up.
Break. Good boy. Good boy. He did it on the floor. Seconds.
That was funny. My bad. I actually was probably
Yes, good boy.
So you guess you're being a scarfer.
Good boy. Break. Yeah, good boy. And then the main difference between, if I tell him yes, I'll pay him with food. But if I tell him break, I don't give him any sort of a reward, because the freedom to get out of command essentially is the reward. And then that way it's very clear for him, like if I hear yes, we're still in working mode and I'm in command. But if he hears break and he gets to essentially just be a free dog and go do whatever he wants, then he's no longer in command.
Hi, baby. What's that?
I've seen some. Yes, good boy. I've seen some dogs with like really, really good obedience that their owner just never really learned what break, the whole concept. And so it was a Malinois, I believe, like sitting next to him, just like super antsy, like waiting for that next command, because he didn't know how to shut off. So that allows him to just like check out and realize, okay, we're done working right now. I can go do whatever I want. Kind of like recess for kids. Like it allows them to just have the opportunity to go get some energy off. And then that way when you give him the next command, he knows he's back in working mode and his focus will be that much better because he already had the opportunity to get out of command. Yes, good boy. And that also prevents him, good boy, that also prevents him from checking out too early before you're done working with him, and kind of him trying to end that session or that behavior on his own terms. Good boy.
Charlie, you're okay.
Break. Yeah, good boy. Good boy. Sit. Yes, good boy. Sit. No, that's fine too. Break. Yay! Good boy. Good boy. Good. Sit. Yes. Good job. Oh, dropped it. Break. Yeah. Good boy. You neat head. Sit. Yes, good boy. Good boy.
This is it just like through repetition that he keeps that, you know, after
Mhm.
this behavior so much, then
Yeah,
he does it more
it
without.
becomes so automatic. Yeah.
Okay.
Which also, leave it. Drop. No, drop. Yes. Sit.
You guys got at least last tonight, right?
Yeah.
It'll be
Sit.
interesting.
Sit.
Going through it.
Yes, good boy. Good boy.
Where can we pick one of these up at?
I have found them at Atwood's.
Okay.
I usually just get these ones off of Amazon because for a while I couldn't find them in any stores, but Atwood's has some.
And they call them slip leashes?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think you really, because he's just chewing on it,
Right.
you might be better off with just a slip collar and then that cable leash so that
Yep.
you have both there. No, leave it.
Slip collar and
Ah,
cable
ah.
leash.
Leave it.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Leave it. Man.
And that cable's strong as hell. So
Yeah.
he's not gonna-
He's not gonna go through that.
He's not gonna go through that.
But yeah, it is basically just a lot of repetition, and that's why I like keeping sessions short too, is because dogs learn better if you do 500 reps over the course of like 24 hours versus 100 reps in the course of 1 hour.
Yeah.
The more repetitions you get in, the more it clicks. And for right now, like anything that he's learning, any new behavior, reward him with food like every single time he does it so that there's something in it for him. But then when he gets more consistent with it, start to wean him off of the food, and do that by like rewarding every other time and then making it completely random. Like reward him, do it 5 times, reward him, do it 5 times without rewarding him, mixing it up so that he doesn't know if you've got food or not. But the only way he's gonna find out is if he actually does and accomplishes the behavior. That way you're not dependent. You don't have to carry around a bag of food with you all the time.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Where I was going.
You're sitting like a chicken. Good boy.
That's
a good boy.
We finally were.
Sit. Hey. Yes. Good boy. Good boy. He's real happy now. Break. Sit. Good. Break. Yeah. Good boy. And that place command or bed, whatever you call it, comes in handy for a lot of things. So like if you're eating dinner at the table and you don't want him begging or just in that general area, you tell him, hey, go place. And he walks over here, he puts himself to bed while you are in the kitchen eating or even cooking dinner. So he's not a nuisance in there while you're trying to enjoy your dinner peacefully. Come here. Oh, drop. No. Sit. Yes, good boy. Good boy.
So to like start that, so what I will just kind of like Just keep directing in there, getting in there. I mean, I
Yeah,
start working on.
basically,
I have to bring his bed out if you
Because
want.
you know,
Yeah, that'll
he's-
work.
like you said, once we walk out, he'll go lay, I'm sure, but then you know he'll get up, and so
Yeah.
I'm not really.
yeah, and it
Right.
takes time. That's a tough one for dogs. It takes a lot of repetition to get used to that. Oh, perfect.
Okay. 'Cause it's just.
Especially because like, if you move away, he wants to follow you just because he's never done it before and he doesn't know.
Right.
Yes, good. So in this instance, the second his feet touch this, mark it yes and then reward him with the food for that, so that he knows the act of getting on the bed is what's getting him paid. Sit. Yes, good boy. Break. Good. And having the bed helps give him like a designated target to go to, versus, I mean, he was sitting there just fine and I could walk away, but this way, like, he knows exactly where he's supposed to be because this looks different than the rest of the floor. And he has to kind of climb up onto it. Come here. Actually, I'm gonna move it out a little bit for now. I'm gonna wait for all 4 feet to get on there. Come here. If you fit. Yes, good boy. Good. And waiting for all 4, I know that doesn't sound like something it would connect in his brain, but it does, because if he steps on there and looks at me and gets nothing for it, but then all of a sudden all 4 feet get, and I'm like, yes, and then I pay him, he's gonna be like, oh, okay, she wants all 4 on here.
Okay.
Come here. Hello. Come here.
We're trying to do our.
Nope, come here.
Our session.
Training.
Come here. Come here. Nope.
Aw, you see KK when you're done.
Yes, good boy. Good boy. Break. Woo. Good boy. Come on. Come on. Yes. Good boy. Good boy. Good. Because if he learns, like, hey, every time I get on this, there's a treat in it for me, or just food, he's like, it's pretty fun to get on here. Instead of just, like, him knowing he has to stay on there, there's something in it for him. Come here. Yes. Good boy. Break. Good. Good boy. And then I just lost my train of thought again. Shit. Hold on, maybe it will come back to me. Oh, so right now, eventually I want place to mean go to your place and lay down. Right now, because I'm trying to get a bunch of repetitions in so that he knows, like, I don't want him to settle down quite yet. I just want him to get on there, break. Get on there, break. So I want him to, if he sits, fine, but even if he just stands there, that's good too. But then you'll have him hold that for an extended period of time and kind of build your way up, have him hold it for a minute and then 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour. He'll learn that, like, that laying down takes a lot less energy than sitting on it. He's like, well, if I'm gonna sit on this for an hour, it's gonna be too tiring, so I might as well just lay down. And then it puts him in a more relaxed position and he'll just fall asleep. So he's not necessarily have to be on the place bed staring at you like, hey, what? I'm waiting for you to give me that command. He'll just go on here, lay down, chill out, relax, and then fall asleep on his own. Come here. Yes, good boy. Good boy. Yeah, look at your butt go. Nope. There you go.
He's doing
No. No. Sit. No, come on.
Yeah, now he's trying to just
Yeah.
he's like, here, no.
Come Come here. Yes, good boy. Break. Good. Which I was teasing him a little bit there and having him hold it for longer than he was used to. So you can see him get a little frustrated
Right.
Yeah.
because he's like, let me off of this
Yeah.
thing. So that's why it's like I start small and then you work your way up to him being able to hold it for an hour. If I were to just say, hey, hold it an hour, he's gonna fail every time. No, leave it. Okay. No. Come on. Come here. No, leave it. Yes. No. No. Break. There you go. There you go. Come on. Sit. Okay. No. Okay. No. Sit.
Charlie.
No. 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 Yep. No. No. Okay. No. Break. There you go. There you go. Sit. Yes. Good boy. Break. Good. Good job. Come. Yes. No. Break. Good. Good boy. Boy. Come on. Sit. No. Sit. No. 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 No.
Yeah.
Come on. Sit. Yes, good boy. Good boy. Break. There you go. Good boy. Good boy, man. Yes. Good. Any questions on any of that? I know I just threw a lot of shit at you. Yeah. And you can tell he's slowing down because his brain is going and he's having to think. And that's where it's kind of, you got to find the balance of the physical exercise, but also the mental stimulation he needs, because there's a lot of Malinois, for example, like there's no amount of walking that's going to wear that dog out. You've got to do more stuff like this, more playing and tug and get their brain going, because they could run 5 miles and still just be like, what's next? What's next? But if you drain their brain, then they're like fully exhausted and worn out. Good boy. And this just gives him something. You got an eye booger. Something constructive to do versus just being bored and like, well, let's go tear up the couch now. Let's go bite the corner of the wall.
Right.
Good boy. Yeah. Come here.
So I guess like one of my
Yes.
questions, I guess, and I can think of being concerned is when he was small. When he was small, we put him in the kennel and leave him all day.
Mm-hmm.
But that's been quite a while, like 1 year or how long.
Yeah, probably
9
about a year,
months.
about 9
And
months.
so in the back of my head, it worries me of putting him in a kennel for 8 hours or so. I mean, is that, it feels
That
almost
bad?
like dog abuse. You know
No,
what
I mean, well, it's better than coming home to a destroyed house.
that's true.
Right.
You know, as far as that goes, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, he's just big, you know, and he's being cooped up in there. It makes me feel kind of.
Yeah, well, that's why you just got like as soon as you get home, take him out and exercise him. Take him for a walk, but then also like play with him in the backyard because you said he plays tug with you, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, he'll fetch, he'll bring it back and drop it.
yeah, that's awesome. Do some of that so that he's getting, because once you're done in the evening, he's gonna go back in there to sleep, and so you want to make sure he's got all of his energy out and he is fully exercised, so that he's drained and like I want to go lay in the kennel and just rest. But I can almost guarantee he sleeps majority of the day when you're gone
Yeah.
anyway. So it's like, what difference does it make if he's sleeping in the middle of the floor or in a kennel?
Right.
As long as he's got like plenty of room to spread out and fully lay down in there,
He does. It's a big kennel.
yeah, then he won't know the difference.
He just won't be. The only thing he'll know is that he's not able to breathe.
Right, yeah. And that might bother him initially,
Yeah.
so he might whine or something, but I mean, that's
No, he won't be there.
yeah, he won't know. And luckily, you don't live in an apartment where you've got neighbors that can
They're gonna
complain
be
about
bitching
it.
about it.
Yeah, yeah. I've got some new clients that are in that predicament, and I'm like,
Oh no.
shit.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yes,
That would suck. That
it
would suck.
sucks.
That's one thing you hear about.
Okay, the only thing I know that we are gonna have to go through, which is I'm fine with it, but I know Mom's not gonna be fine with it. Is he's gonna be bitching in the middle? He's gonna be bitching when we put him in to sleep.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? I know the first couple of nights, several nights, probably bark or whatever.
yeah. Do your best to ignore it, and really, really resist the urge. Don't let him out because he'll learn very quickly that like, hey, I want out of here. If I just whine and bark, they're gonna come let me out.
Right.
And so then that's all it takes. But if you, even after he might be completely worn out when I'm gone. Who knows? But if you give him enough exercise in the evening before you go to bed and drain him, then he really shouldn't put up much of a fight because he's just so exhausted that it's just bedtime and he doesn't even really feel like putting in the energy to bark and whine and get let out. You can also, if you like leave to go to work and he's going to be in there for a long time,
Yeah.
give him a Kong or something to kind of occupy him for a little bit.
Yeah.
Those are super helpful so that he has something to kind of play with essentially for a little bit. I mean, that's not going to last all day, obviously, but at least the initial him going in there, he's not thinking, well, shoot, they're going off to work and I'm going to be in here all day. Like he's
Right.
got something to look forward to.
It's big, man. It's
Quit. I'm surprised I had an evaluation a few weeks ago where this dog, like within 10 minutes, just the thing popped off. I'm surprised. He's very capable of it. I'm just surprised he hasn't. Good boy. He's a good boy. Thank you. Thank you. No. No. Come here. Oh, you're caught. You're tangled. Come here. No. No.
Yeah, so we're just doing it. Yeah, you know. Just
No.
doing
Leave it. Good. Thank you. No. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Oh, and another, like just using his regular food to train him, the hand feeding stuff, since it is about like getting a lot of those repetitions in. Food's a lot cheaper than treats, and it doesn't add a bunch of extra calories. Like if you could go through a whole bag of those in a day. But if you're just giving him the food he was already going to get anyway, it prevents him from getting overweight or anything. Oh yeah. And you're done. Stop it. No, man. No. Come here. Sit. Sit. Yes. You down? Yeah, there you go. There you go. Oh, you're like half on it. No. Go away. Go away. No. You're very pushy.
Yeah, he is.
No. 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 No.
So alright, so during this time between the next ones to just do on the work on these things, like you said, keeping him in those several things with them and then spending time working with him.
Yeah.
On all these types
Yeah,
of
yeah.
commands
And
okay.
basically, in a nutshell,